What's going on, guys? We're back with another video. So this video is going to show you that a lot of people know this information. It's just that we don't know. And so this video, of course, you can see who is by. It's a long video. You can watch it on your free time, share it with your friends and family. Because some reason we need, uh, our people need white people's validation to prove if what we're bringing out is the truth. So so this is why you have over an hour and a half basically of this information of white people saying this truth, which is a blessing. But that just shows you how we are kind of messed up psychologically. But anyways, uh, so now we're gonna get started. So he's gonna basically start about talking about slavery. This video is gonna be sped up to make the time short. But he's basically talking about how nobody knows about slavery before the 1600s, and you got, like you said, you got to ask yourself why. So let's play, let it play.
Give you a brief history on slavery. I was just amazed. I got to tell you. I mean, when you come to America and you talk to people about slavery, you can talk to black people about slavery, white people about slavery, and they'll give you all this history on slavery, and it only goes back to the 16th and the 17th century. And you're like, don't they teach you the history of slavery? Why? Ask the bloody question. Why are they only teaching you the history of slavery as far back as the 16th and the 17th century? Why are they only going that far back? I don't want you to go as far back as that, because then you'll actually find out the truth. But from the 16th and 17th century, what do you think about slavery? You've got to go further back. And you've got to understand and question, why do they do this throughout the whole of America, in all the public schools? Why do they only go back as far as the 16th and 17th century to talk about slavery? We've got to go further back. Because Islam designed infernal slavery.
All right, now, so he said they're doing this on purpose, and this is what we've been bringing out during this series. So this is Psalms chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thy silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So you think that these Islamics and Christians and these people in Judaism, the Jewish people love God, but here it says thine enemies make a tumult. Those are God's enemies. They hate God. They have lifted up their head. They are proud against God. And, so they have the whole world fooled thinking that they love God, but they don't. They are his enemies. And this is why they are his enemies. Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. So the reason why they are hiding this information is because this is crafty counsel. They're all working together to hide the truth about this. So let's continue.
And then the Ashkenazi Khazars, those who say they are Jews and are not, are the ones that marketed it, and the regal Negro nomads exiled from the kingdom of.
So he just said the ones who say they are Jews and are not. He's quoting this scripture. I spelled that for you. Let's see. He's quoting Revelation 2:9. I know thy works in the tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So really quick, I'm going to prove to you that those people that are saying they're Jews are Edomites, which is Jacob's brother. So remember this now. It says that I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews. So this is blasphemy, right? Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 35, verse 10. It says, we will start off verse 10. And I'm going to read the two highlighted scriptures. Because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. So when it says these two countries, this is talking about Israel and Judah. All of them make up Israel, but Israel is the northern kingdom, Judah is the southern kingdom. They had a split uh, after the time of King Solomon. So they're saying that these two countries and these two nations will be mine. So they're going to basically take our land and say it's theirs. All right. And also to let you guys see, if you go to verse 1, it says, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, which is that's Edom. All right. So that you know who this whole chapter is against, basically. And then verse 15, Old Mount Seir. Now, verse 12. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, and that I have heard all thy blasphemies. What did we just read in Revelation 2:9? And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. So that is blasphemy against God. And it says, blasphemies which thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying, they are laid desolate, they are given us to consume. So this is who is doing this. This is Edom, right? So they are saying they are us, and this is blasphemy. And so you got the New Testament and the Old Testament saying the same thing.
Of Judah were the main recipients of it at the hands of the indigenous black Africans. Because you've got to understand, the regal class of the house of Judah came down from Israel, and they came into the land of the black Africans. And the black Africans resented the...
When he says black Africans, he means Hamites.
Regal class of the house of Judah in their land, because they had laws, they had customs, they had civility, and they were a regal class of Negroes that came down into Africa.
Don't get offended because he said Negro. It's okay. It's a name that the world gave us to identify us. It's a byword. Let me get that real quick. It says, now shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all the nations, for the Lord shall lead thee. So, actually, let me try one thing. Bear with me for a second. I want to look something up. So maybe I can share it with you guys. Let me see. So I'm looking for something in the book. My wife lost my book, and I've been struggling ever since. Yeah, she know I blame her for that. It could be my fault too, though. So that's just how we do. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys this. So we're on this word Negro, right? Let me show you. I spelled that wrong, but that's okay. All right, this is in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. So if you read this, this is on Ham, which the guy was saying, Black African. If you read this in this book, it's in the book that I don't have now. It says, I'm gonna start where it says he. So when it says he, it's talking about Ham. He became the progenitor of the dark races. So Ham, so like the guy called them Black Africans, but not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So the Negroes were not considered Hamites, and the scholars knew this. That's why it says not the Negroes. So Negroes is like code word for the Shemitic people, Hebrew people, right? Israelites. And so let's continue.
And later on, it was the Ashkenazi, the Islamic slave traders as well, that then worked together with the indigenous black Africans to enslave the regal house of Judah.
Ooh, see, he dropping the facts for y'all. So let me show you guys that. Let's go to Psalm 83. All right, now we're going to start off with verse 4. I think that's what we left off. So they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So these people that he is talking about, they came together and said, let us cut them off from being a nation, right? Let's make them, known as slaves around the world. We're gonna take their identity and we're working together. And so all of this is crafty counsel. verse 5, it says, "For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee." So they all came together and said, you know what, let's all work together, right? And they're working together against God. So that's some powerful stuff. I mean, so that's, anyway. Verse 6, and it's telling you who did this. The tabernacles of Edom. We just showed you who Edom is. And then that's the Jewish people claiming to be us. The Ishmaelites, right? Those are the Islamics, right? So these are the two people that he's focusing on in this video. And then also, you got Tyre, and then we're gonna focus on this too. Tyre is also African. Amalek is also a part of Edom as well, right? So he's focusing on these people in this video. So it's telling you that these people work together, and you just read the chapter yourself. All of these people have worked together to make this thing happen with the worldwide slavery, which was prophesied. And then if you go to verse 12, it said, "Who said, let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession." So they want to take God's house, Israel, and turn it to their possession. And that's why if you go to Luke 21:24, it says, "And they shall fall by the edge of the sword and shall be led away captive into all nations." This is what happened to us. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles to the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So Jerusalem is going to have Gentiles on it until the time when the Gentiles be fulfilled. And so that means there's Gentiles there right now. They're claiming that land is theirs. All right.
This is what we've got to understand. Is you've got to go back before the 16th century to understand the roots of.
Once again, that's why they're hiding this information, because they're confederate against God. They came together and they want to hide our history.
So we're going to see as we dig into this where this slavery came from, because it was really a system that was very, very well crafted. There was Islamic masters, and there were white Ashkenazi, Khazar ship owners. There were the buyers and the sellers. And they're not going to fill you in on all of this, but really we've got a four-tier system. Number one, you have the Negro nomads that were exiled from the kingdom of Judah. Number two, you had indigenous black African hunters that resented the regal Negro nomads that had come into their territory with their own customs, with their own laws that were different and did not assimilate into their tribal culture. They were their own tribe. They were the regal house of Judah. Number three, you had Islamic trappers that worked with the indigenous black Africans to trap the regal Negro house of Judah.
That's what we just read in Psalm 83. Basically, this is the whole world, but that is a part of this. But like I said, he's focusing on Edom, Ishmaelites, and Amalek, Tyre, right? And then you got Philistines. Uh, so those are the people he's focusing on. So the Bible is true, man. I mean, it's literally, this prophecy is literally like being fulfilled right before our eyes. And by being in the Christian church, they're not going to tell you this, so you don't understand how deep this is, how deep, you know, we are into this prophecy, and this prophecy is happening.
And then you had them sell them to the Ashkenazi ship merchants. It's enough to go further back. Do you know how many blacks in America?
So he's getting turned up now. And Obadiah 1:11, it says, "Shall I not in that day, says the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of you, and understanding out of the mount of Esau, and thy mighty men, O Teman," which is another uh, word basically for Esau, in the land of those people, "shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the mount of Esau shall be cut off by slaughter." God ain't playing with these people for that. "For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever." This is the key part right here, verse 11. "For in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them. So those Jewish people, they got a lot to pay for because they were as one of them. They were one of the people. They are one of the people who have taken the land and claimed it as theirs. They cast lots upon you, like kind of like rolling dice, basically. Like, oh, you're gonna take this part right here, such and such. All right. So now he's basically kind of turned up right now about uh, you know what how messed up it is that our people don't know this information, and rightfully so, because the world has hidden this information, and they're not only just tricking us, the real Israelites, they're also tricking the whole world. So people just wasting their money, just sending money over there to Israel and all that, and they're not even real people.
Have been lost to Islam? It's outrageous. That's not your tribe. Your tribe is Judah. Muhammad's tribe enslaved you. Why would you convert to Muhammad's tribe when you're of King David's tribe? Don't convert to the tribe that enslaved you and then sold you to Ashkenazi. Ship merchants. More black Negroes have been lost to Islam in the 20th century than any other Bible-believing group. It's outrageous because they don't want you to know who you really are and what tribe you're from, which you're not from Muhammad's tribe. Never were. Never were. You are a regal Negro class from the Royal House of Judah.
All right, guys, and that concludes the video. All right, so we'll see y'all next time. Stay tuned. Open your Bible. Stay.